In this video, I'm going to go over some of the most common kind of hangups that I've noticed with clients, what they are, and if you find yourself with one of these, maybe how you can support yourself. So the first one here is that a lot of times clients get distracted by their protectors using in IFS work, internal family systems. So what this means is that protectors get a lot of attention sometimes in therapy work because they are the most pronounced. We know what they are. We give them a character. We give them we put them on a stage. We hold them in our hands. We have a dialogue with them. We get a good sense of maybe what they look like. We draw them on a piece of paper. So they get a lot of attention up front. And this is good and valid work. It's necessary. It really helps us understand these parts of ourselves. If you don't know what a protector is in IFS work, it essentially is an overdeveloped quality, an overdeveloped personal trait. In IFS, we just call it parts, and we call them those parts that are of us that are really overdeveloped. We call those protectors. There's more details of that, but I don't think it's really necessary to go into all that. And then the hurt part of us, we call wounded parts, hurt parts of us, or exiled parts of us. Not really talking about those parts of us right now, those exiled ones. It's more these protectors. So when we first start with IFS, we start with the protectors. I've given examples of these in other videos, but let's say it's a perfectionistic part of you that every once in a while goes up to like a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on a scale of 0 to 10. So it's really overdeveloped. When it's really that big, it causes problems, right? Sometimes you need to be perfectionistic. Sometimes it's important. Sometimes it's part of your job. Sometimes it's getting you through life. So we're not really trying to threaten that or question that. It's just when it gets to be really big, it shows up too big. It shows up when it's not necessary. You feel like it's out of control. This is when we're kind of referring to a protector. So we start an IFS with protector work. We give them a name. We draw them on a paper. We enter into dialogue with them. We use visualization to be like, what do they look like? What's their personality? How do they feel like in your body? This is good work, like I said, but one of the mistakes or one of the hangups that I've seen in this work is that clients and therapists get really focused on the protectors. Hey, have you been noticing your protectors and what do they look like and how? And the hang up, like the bad part, I guess, or the why this is, something we don't want to do, is that that's not really the deeper healing work. The protectors are good for behavioral modification, and they're good on a deeper level as far as more internal cohesion with ourselves, right? So that we're not looking at our perfectionistic part going, oh, I hate you. Why do you show up again? Oh, I really don't need you right now. We don't really want to be talking to ourselves that way. We want to develop a nice relationship with our protectors. So it's good to start with them. And it's good to get to a point where you can say, hey, perfectionistic part, I see you there. And thank you, because I know you're trying to help me, right? What we want to, though, immediately do is then connect with our wounded, our exiled, our hurt part. And this is often a young part of us that activated that protector in the first place. The idea here is that your protector is not going to be at a 7 to a 10 if it wasn't first activated by a hurt child or hurt younger part of you. So the hang up here is let's not get too distracted with the protectors. We can use them to better understand ourselves. We can have more internal cohesion by having a better relationship with them. And then the key to not getting stuck in that is to then shift into connecting with your wounded part. And that is where you're going to see the deeper healing. That was number one. Number two, when you connect with your wounded part, what I've noticed is that a lot of times clients want to say, everything's going to be okay. You don't need to feel that way. We're okay now. This type of stuff. This can be very devaluing and really alienate your wounded part. Your wounded part is a child. They don't need to be told everything's going to be okay. That's not what we need as children. And that's not what your wounded part needs. Really what it needs. So that's kind of the mistake, right? The hang up is being like, hey, it's going to be okay. Oftentimes when we say that, our internal wounded part will be like, oh, okay. or they might even walk away from us, or they might get quiet. You're going to feel it, right? They're not going to respond to that. So instead, try this: validate and connect. So you want to first validate how they're feeling. You'll know this intuitively how they're feeling: sad, lonely, scared, disconnected, afraid, confused, and just name it. Right? That's how we validate, is we name. Hey, I see you're feeling really scared. Hey, I see you're confused. You're really lonely right now. That's what that kind of sounds like. And then we connect. And this can be done simultaneously. It's usually in the form of some kind of physical connection, maybe giving them a hug or a teddy bear, or sitting with them, or just letting them know that you're there. There's a physical presence, right? Teenagers may not want a hug or a teddy bear. They may just want to know that you're there, peeking in at the doorway, available. So it kind of depends on the age, and it also depends on your relationship with them. Um, the other hang up that I've noticed with some clients is that we forget to do the daily check-ins after we've made contact with our wounded parts. So a lot of this work is really initially is building trust back up with our hurt and exiled parts of us. There are parts of us that were really hurt. We didn't really know we were hurt, and we didn't get those needs met as children. And so we're doing that now ourselves. We're trying to meet that need now. And so after we've connected with a hurt and exiled part of us in session, it is very important for the first week, at least, to do daily check-ins with that wounded part. What does that look like? In a moment of meditation, in a moment of stillness, is just to kind of peek in and say, hey, I said I would come back. I said I'd check in on you. I'm doing that. Right? And they may say, okay, cool, whatever. Or they may be, oh, great, I've been waiting for you. Or, everyone kind of responds to this differently. But it's very important to do those in between sessions. What I've noticed is that clients who do that in between sessions, once they come back for a therapy session, that actually progresses the work that we can do in session, right? Because more trust has been made. Another hang up or kind of hiccup that I've noticed is that sometimes clients, at least initially, are having a hard time connecting with their wounded parts using some compassion. They're looking at that wounded part of them going, oh, that's embarrassing, or I don't like you, or geez, get your act together, little one. A lot of times these are the messages that we receive from our caregivers, verbally or non-verbally, right? Just a sort of like, ugh. And so that's how we respond to our little ones. Now, if this isn't a hang up for you, that's great. It's kind of a 50-50 here. Sometimes clients go in and they're just like, I just love my little hurt one. I just want to go and hold her or hold him, great. However, about 50% of clients or so have a hard time. They have disdain towards their little one. This is okay. It's okay to start there. It's okay to admit that. It's very important to admit that in and out of session. I feel disdain, something like this, towards my little one. Okay, we know this. So here's what I would recommend in that case. I would recommend bringing in your nurturing figure. We've already developed this in session. There's other videos on how to do this. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but bring in your nurturing figure as a lens to see your little one. So let's say your nurturing figure, you know what they are. So you bring them in, you kind of pause the work with your little wounded one, and you just regroup and you bring in your nurturing figure. Oh, that's going to feel so good. You're going to feel loved. You're going to feel seen. You're going to feel validated. And once you have the energy of your nurturing figure activated in your body, then with your nurturing figure with you, right, that energy, you go back into where your wounded one is, right? This is kind of done visually in your mind or just emotionally, whatever feels more accessible to you. And you go reconnect with that hurt part of you through the lens of and the assistance of and support of your nurturing figure. And then 100% of the time, I've never had an issue with this, when we then go look at our wounded one, we have a lot more compassion. And that's how we can connect with our wounded. We never want to connect with our wounded one through disdain or hurt. That just causes more pain. I hope this was helpful for you in any of those hiccups that you might have been encountering along the way.